Our investigation begins in the early 20th century, a turbulent period where whispers of human-engineered levitating cities were meticulously silenced. The year is 1923. Deep in the Bavarian Alps, a clandestine project known as Statflug was underway. Engineers and physicists from across Europe convened under the guise of a scientific symposium. Their goal? To harness the Earth's magnetic fields to elevate entire cities into the skies. The technology was not theoretical. It was operational. Hidden in plain sight, these floating metropolises challenged the very essence of physics and geography. The operational core of this airborne marvel was a device known as the magnetopulsar. Imagine a machine the size of a cathedral, constructed from rare earth metals and superconductors. It emitted a controlled magnetic field powerful enough to defy gravity. Yet, the true genius lay in its ability to synchronize with the Earth's natural electromagnetic pulses. This was no mere flight of fancy. It was a triumph of engineering. But as always, innovation met its adversary. The gatekeepers of conventional energy industries, oil magnates and railroad tycoons, saw this as a threat. They moved swiftly to dismantle and bury the evidence. Official records are conveniently silent about the fate of Statflug. However, we uncovered a series of encrypted communications between key project members and the German government. Dated November 1923, these documents reveal a coordinated effort to dismantle the floating city technology. The rationale was clear: control the skies, control commerce. National security was the excuse, but profit was the motive. The cities were brought down, dismantled, and their components scattered across secret facilities. Yet, whispers of their brief existence persist in the form of folklore and forgotten patents. The technical brilliance of these levitating cities was not lost on everyone. In 1924, a young Nikola Tesla, often ridiculed for his outlandish ideas, allegedly found inspiration in Statflug's principles. His writings from this period allude to floating fortresses and unrestricted mobility. Tesla's notes, filled with calculations and diagrams, were confiscated by the FBI upon his death in 1943. The connection is undeniable. What better way to ensure dominance than to erase the most revolutionary technology of the era? The suppression of Tesla's work speaks volumes about the lengths to which the status quo will go to maintain control. The question remains, why was this reality suppressed so thoroughly? The answer lies in infrastructure. Roads and railways are the veins of control, dictating movement and commerce. Floating cities rendered such systems obsolete, threatening the economic backbone of industrialized nations. Imagine a world where cities drift across continents, unbound by borders or tariffs. This posed an existential threat to industries built on fixed geography. By eradicating the evidence, the gatekeepers secured their empires, ensuring that humanity remained grounded, quite literally. But whispers of these skyward dreams linger, waiting for those brave enough to rediscover them. Let's travel back to the dawn of aerial innovation when the Wright brothers were celebrated for their primitive flying machines. Little did the world know that, simultaneously, a clandestine group known as the Sky Architects was designing entire floating cities. These weren't just pie-in-the-sky fantasies. In 1905, an unmarked hangar in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, housed blueprints for entire urban centers designed to soar. These designs included anti-gravity propulsion systems and solar collection domes. The audacity of these plans dwarfed anything the Wrights could conceive. Yet, mysteriously, these documents never saw the light of day. They're rumored to have been seized by government agents and locked away in classified archives. Evidence of these floating cities surfaces intermittently through anecdotal accounts. One such story comes from a retired Air Force pilot who in 1957 reported an encounter with a massive, shadowy silhouette in the skies above Nevada. It wasn't an aircraft, he insisted, but an entire city, suspended in the clouds. His superiors dismissed the report as a mirage, a trick of the mind. But the pilot stood by his account until his dying day. Such testimonies were systematically discredited, labeled as hoaxes, to protect the status quo. Yet, these sightings persist, hinting at a suppressed reality that defies conventional understanding. The shadowy machinations behind the suppression of this reality are multifaceted. Documents from the early 20th century reveal an unholy alliance between government agencies, private industry, and financial institutions. Their objective: to monopolize energy and transportation. Floating cities, free from the confines of terrestrial infrastructure, threatened these interests. In 1934, during a secret meeting in New York, representatives from these sectors devised a plan to control the narrative. They funded disinformation campaigns, and any inventor or engineer straying too close to the truth was swiftly silenced. Their tactics were ruthless yet effective. Theoretical physics offers some explanation for the feasibility of these cities. The concept of magnetic levitation, maglev, was not just for trains but scaled up exponentially. Cities floated thanks to a delicate balance between electromagnetic fields and gravitational forces. This was not science fiction but a disciplined application of real-world physics. Imagine entire districts gliding effortlessly, powered by the planet's natural energies. Yet, the shift from theory to tangible reality was meticulously obstructed. The financial implications alone were staggering, threatening to upend industries reliant on terrestrial geography. Perhaps the most chilling aspect of this revelation is the erasure of human achievement. Consider the architects, engineers, and visionaries whose contributions were erased. The legacy of these unsung heroes is buried beneath layers of red tape and classified files. These were not merely dreamers. They were pioneers whose work could have redefined civilization. The suppression of their discoveries is not just a theft of technology but a theft of potential. It is a reminder that the history we know is but a shadow of the truth. The world remains grounded, not by incapacity but by deliberate design. It's time to question why. The suppression of floating cities extends beyond mere technological suppression. It is an erasure of cultural evolution. In 1925, anthropologists uncovered evidence of ancient civilizations that reportedly harnessed similar levitation technologies. Petroglyphs found in the Australian outback depict sprawling cities suspended above the ground, etched with intricate designs suggestive of electromagnetic manipulation. These ancestral technologies were likely rediscovered and refined in the modern era, only to be deemed too disruptive for contemporary power structures. The implications are staggering. Entire epochs of human ingenuity systematically erased to maintain the illusion of linear technological progress. In the 1960s, a brief resurgence in interest for floating cities emerged, driven by counterculture movements and visionary architects. They proposed airborne urban utopias as solutions to overpopulation and environmental degradation. Among them was Paolo Soleri, who conceptualized arcology, a fusion of architecture and ecology. His designs included self-sustaining cities floating in the stratosphere, powered by solar energy and atmospheric currents. The idea was revolutionary, yet predictably it was met with resistance. Financial institutions and government agencies quietly stifled funding and public interest, ensuring these radical concepts remained on the drawing board, never to alter the status quo. The potential benefits of floating cities are conspicuously absent from mainstream narratives. These airborne metropolises could revolutionize disaster response, offering refuge above flood-prone areas and seismic zones. Imagine cities that migrate to follow optimal weather patterns, reducing the impact of climate change. Yet, such transformative potential is deliberately ignored. The current infrastructure relies on fixed locations and conventional energy, a model that sustains corporate and governmental control. Floating cities, free from these constraints, represent an existential threat to entrenched interests. Is it any wonder such possibilities are relegated to the realm of science fiction? Academic institutions, often seen as bastions of innovation, play an unexpected role in this suppression. In the 1970s, several universities conducted studies on the feasibility of large-scale levitation. These promising results were abruptly shuttered, the research deemed non-viable without clear justification. Funding for such projects mysteriously evaporated, and professors who persisted too loudly found their careers unexpectedly stalled. The academic gatekeepers, bound by the purse strings of powerful donors and government grants, ensured these radical ideas remained theoretical. The promise of floating cities, once on the brink of academic validation, was buried under bureaucracy and red tape. The question of why humans have not returned to the skies with city-sized ambitions remains shrouded in layers of calculated omission. The technology exists, the benefits are clear, yet the barriers are artificial. This suppression is not a failure of imagination. It is a triumph of control. Those in power have no intention of ceding it, least of all to an airborne world that defies borders and central authority. As we sift through the remnants of this suppressed reality, one truth becomes evident. The sky was never the limit. It was merely a gateway, one we have been deliberately denied. It's time to reclaim it. The notion of floating cities has resurfaced sporadically in modern discourse, often veiled in speculative fiction. But consider the 1980s when a daring proposal emerged from Japan. The Shimizu Corporation, renowned for its ambitious engineering projects, unveiled plans for a megacity pyramid floating above Tokyo Bay. This colossal structure, capable of housing 1 million residents, relied on advanced materials and levitation technologies. Yet, as with all groundbreaking ideas, it faced insurmountable obstacles. Bureaucratic red tape and quiet pressures from vested interests ensured the project remained a concept, never to challenge terrestrial dominance. The technical challenges of floating cities are not insurmountable. They are stifled by intentional neglect. Consider the advancements in material science, graphene, carbon nanotubes, and metamaterials that offer unparalleled strength-to-weight ratios. These materials make the construction of levitating cities not just feasible but practical. Yet, despite these breakthroughs, research applications remain limited to niche fields, never expanding into urban development. The question is not of capability but of will. Who stands to lose if humanity takes to the skies? The industries shackled to the ground dare not ponder such a future. The economic implications of flying cities extend beyond transportation and infrastructure. Imagine a global economy unbound by geography, where cities traverse international borders, rendering traditional trade routes obsolete. This would dismantle the economic stronghold of nations reliant on such routes. The economic disruption would be profound, shifting power dynamics worldwide. This potential upheaval is precisely why discussions of floating cities rarely advance beyond academic or speculative realms. The challenge is not one of logistics but of willingness to disrupt deeply entrenched economic systems. In the 1990s, a small but significant experiment funded by an independent consortium took place in the remote expanses of the Nevada desert. They successfully levitated a small township model using cutting-edge electromagnetic technology. This achievement demonstrated the practicality of scaled-up implementations. The project, however, was abruptly terminated. The official explanation cited insufficient funding, yet insiders speak of shadowy government intervention. This pattern of suppression is consistent, promising initiatives quashed before they can challenge the status quo. The knowledge remains, waiting for those brave enough to resurrect it. We are at a crossroads, a juncture where the choice to unearth and embrace this suppressed reality could redefine our civilization. The technology to fly cities exists, buried under layers of denial and economic inertia. The benefits, environmental, economic, and societal, are too significant to ignore. Humanity's potential to transcend its terrestrial constraints remains untapped, not by inability, but by deliberate choice. The question now is whether we have the courage to reclaim this lost reality, to challenge those who would keep us grounded. The skies await, if only we dare to rise. In confronting the reality of floating cities, we must address the cultural implications of such a transformation. A society that can lift entire urban centers into the heavens redefines community and connection. Imagine cities that merge and separate, forming new cultural and social structures in the sky. This fluidity disrupts the static nature of current urban life, offering a dynamic tapestry of human interaction. The potential for cultural exchange and innovation is boundless, yet this very potential is seen as a threat to established cultural norms and societal hierarchies. It challenges the very fabric of nationhood. At the heart of this suppressed narrative is a profound question: who benefits from keeping humanity earthbound? The answer lies in the power structures that thrive on control over land, resources, and people. Floating cities represent a decentralization of power that terrifies those who hold sway over terrestrial domains. These airborne metropolises would operate beyond the reach of conventional governance, potentially fostering new forms of democracy and autonomy. The fear of losing control is precisely why this reality remains hidden, buried under layers of political and economic interests. The environmental impact of adopting floating city technology is another facet conveniently ignored. These cities could harness renewable energies, eliminate land-based pollution, and minimize ecological footprints. A world where urban centers leave no trace on the Earth would be revolutionary. Yet, such a paradigm shift threatens industries and economies reliant on resource extraction and land development. The environmental advantages are clear, but the inertia of existing systems ensures these benefits remain theoretical. The potential to harmonize urban living with nature exists, but it requires a collective awakening to realize it. As we unearth the fragments of this suppressed history, the question of implementation arises. The technology, the knowledge, and the blueprints are scattered, waiting to be reassembled by those willing to defy the status quo. Grassroots movements, independent researchers, and visionaries can reclaim this potential. The barriers are formidable, but not insurmountable. The first step is awareness, acknowledging the deliberate suppression and understanding the motivations behind it. Only then can we begin to reconstruct and innovate, forging a path toward a new era of human achievement. The journey to reclaim this lost reality is not just a technological endeavor, but a philosophical one. It challenges us to rethink our place in the world and our relationship with the planet. To embrace floating cities is to embrace a future not dictated by the confines of history, but inspired by the possibilities of what humanity can become. The sky is not a limit but an invitation, a vast expanse waiting for those daring enough to ascend. The time has come to rise, to reclaim the skies, and to forge a new destiny that defies the chains of gravity and convention. As we delve deeper into the archives of suppressed realities, a striking pattern emerges: the repeated sabotage of projects that dared to challenge terrestrial norms. In the early 2000s, a European consortium launched a project known as Ether Haven. Their goal was to construct a prototype floating city over the Mediterranean Sea. The design incorporated cutting-edge aerodynamics and self-sustaining ecosystems. Initial tests showed promise, yet inexplicably, the project was abandoned. Internal documents hint at unforeseen regulatory hurdles, a euphemism for powerful entities pulling the strings to maintain their grip on terrestrial commerce. The suppression of floating city technology is not just a matter of lost innovation but a testament to the resilience of human ambition. Throughout history, visionaries have continuously rediscovered the potential of airborne urbanism, only to face obstruction. Each attempt, though stifled, contributes to a growing body of knowledge. This collective persistence suggests that the idea of floating cities is not a mere fantasy, but an inevitability waiting to be realized. The continuity of these efforts indicates a tenacity that refuses to be quelled by short-sighted agendas. The future of floating cities lies in the hands of the daring and the imaginative. With the advent of decentralized technologies and open-source collaboration, the barriers to entry are lower than ever. Independent collectives and innovators are now able to bypass traditional gatekeepers, exploring new pathways to realize these skyward dreams. The rise of 3D printing, blockchain, and decentralized energy solutions empowers a new generation to circumvent the constraints that once seemed insurmountable. The potential for grassroots innovation in the realm of floating cities is unprecedented. The implications of this new frontier extend beyond mere technological advancement. They promise a reevaluation of societal values. Floating cities present an opportunity to redefine community, governance, and environmental stewardship. These cities could prioritize sustainability, inclusivity, and freedom, offering a template for a more equitable society. As we stand on the brink of this new epoch, the question resonates. Will we seize this opportunity to transcend the limitations of the past, or will we allow inertia and fear to anchor us? The choice is ours to make, but the consequences will echo throughout history. In conclusion, the suppressed reality of floating cities is a story of lost possibilities and persistent dreams. It is a narrative that challenges us to reconsider the boundaries of human potential and the structures that confine us. The history of this unrealized reality serves as both a cautionary tale and an inspiration. It reminds us that the obstacles we face are often constructed by fear, greed, and the desire to control. The skies are not merely a frontier to be conquered, but a canvas for our imagination. The time has come to reclaim this narrative, to let ambition soar, and to redefine what is possible.